It may sound cliche that AI is the answer to everything or can help with anything, but I'm going to show you how to use 3 AI tools to your benefit and improve your chances of getting hired. Although there's no magic way of using AI and finding a job immediately, after watching this video, you can apply faster with a cool tool that I'll show you how to create yourself. You will also perform better in interviews by practicing with AI. So let's get us started. Finding a job has 3 main phases: market research, resume preparation, interview preparation. Let's see how ChatGPT or Claude can be used for the first phase, market research. We're going to check a few recent job ads from different companies for a specific role and find the common skills needed. The more job ads you gather, the better insight you have into the job market. Why is this important? Because then you can reevaluate your skills and see where there is room for improvement. Also, this helps you revise your resume based on the current job market. You can check LinkedIn or any typical job board in your area for this. If you're not sure, you can even ask ChatGPT. I'm in Australia and this is my prompt. List the top 3 job boards in Australia. As you can see, seek.com.au is also one of the leading job boards in Australia apart from LinkedIn. Now, what you need to do is start your prompt in ChatGPT or Claude like this. Please analyze the following job ads for common skills, qualifications, and responsibilities. Next, copy and paste the job ads here. To make sure you're laser focused, it's better to pick the job ads for the same role, such as senior software engineer. Otherwise, you may end up with too many different skills. Let's go back to ChatGPT. I've already copied 10 ads from various companies, and I'm going to paste them into ChatGPT. So now you have the required common skills and qualifications on just one page, and it's much easier to identify what areas need to be focused on. For example, do you need to refresh your knowledge about any of these cloud infrastructure providers, or should you explore these technologies to become more familiar with them? If so, it's best to start with something that can be learned quickly. You may need to take an online course or start a side project, but don't fall into the trap of thinking you must master everything before applying. Anyway, this is a great starting point in my opinion. You can even ask more granular questions depending on the industries. For example, this is my question: which programming language is required the most? The next step is highlighting those skills in your resume, which leads us to the next phase, resume preparation. First of all, I assume you have some sort of a draft resume or an existing LinkedIn page. You can still ask ChatGPT to create a resume from scratch for you, but it would be too generic. You may end up spending more time tailoring it for yourself. It's best to start with what you have and gradually improve it. When it comes to resume, I like to look at it as data and presentation, because if you decouple these two, you can easily customize your resume per job ad. You can also apply different templates to the same data without dealing with Word or any similar software. Imagine you have a number of resumes and for some reason you need to change the template. In this case, you need to go through each file one by one and update the template, which is very time consuming. Also, if you choose the right format for your resume data, such as YAML or JSON, you benefit from cross-platform compatibility and language-agnostic features. The other thing is that if your resume data has a standard structure, it can easily be converted to another format. Now, if I've convinced you, I suggest you go with YAML because it's more human readable than JSON. This is an example of a resume in YAML. So we have the personal information, summary, experience section, and so on. As you can see, YAML uses indentation to lay out the structure and hierarchy of nested elements. If it gets complicated and you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. Okay, to have your resume in YAML, you can obviously use ChatGPT or Claude. For example, this is a shorter version of my resume in YAML just by using this simple prompt: convert my resume to YAML. You can either copy and paste your resume text or upload the file if you have the paid version. So now it's much easier to modify the resume based on the role. Let's say one of your experiences is not relevant to a position. You can just replace it with a relevant one without worrying about messing with the template format. Also, now your focus is on data. Another tool I recommend is Grammarly. You can use the free version, and by the way, this video is not sponsored by Grammarly. Basically, by combining ChatGPT or Claude with Grammarly, you are confident that, for example, there are no typos in your resume or your sentences are clear. For this, you can copy and paste your YAML content here, and Grammarly will start suggesting corrections. Once you've settled on the YAML version of your resume, we get to the interesting part, and that's the tool I mentioned earlier. For this, we're going to use Claude. If you're not familiar with Claude AI, I have a video explaining how it works, and I make a virtual coffee machine using it. Okay, now I make sure the artifacts experiment is enabled, then I start with this prompt. Create a web-based resume generator using HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, and JavaScript. The application should allow users to input resume data in YAML format, choose from multiple templates, generate a formatted resume, print the resume, and export/import YAML data. Next, I'm going to copy the YAML example that ChatGPT created for us and paste it here. Here, it has generated the files individually, but it's easier to have them all in one file. Let's fix it with this prompt. This is much better, but it's still not fully runnable, so you need to download the HTML file and run it locally in the browser. And there you have it. You can generate the resume. As you can see, you can print it. You can even add another work experience and it works as expected. Now you can export the YAML file, edit it in any software like VS Code, and re-import it again. But you need to make sure to regenerate the resume again. Also, here's a drop-down menu when you can choose different templates. Currently, they are super basic and very similar, but you can ask Claude to modify them based on your preference. For example, I asked to add a new template with blue headers. It doesn't look good, but it gives you an idea of how flexible Claude is. One thing to note is that if you add a whole new section to your YAML file, for example, certificates or languages, you need to ask Claude to modify the resume generator based on the new data structure. That's why it's better to settle on the YAML first and then make the resume generator using Claude. Now that you have your own resume generator, you can customize your resume faster per role, which increases your chances of getting an interview. This leads us to the last phase, interview preparation. Depending on the industry, there will be at least one session to assess your hard or technical skills, and probably another session to evaluate your soft skills by asking behavioral questions. Again, this is different per role and per company. For the technical skills, I used to just Google and find the relevant questions that might be asked in the interview. But now ChatGPT or Claude can obviously help. Here's my prompt. I'm preparing for an interview for a Java developer role. Ask me the top 10 questions. Once you've gone through them, you can ask ChatGPT to provide the answers too. You can do the same for behavioral questions. The only difference is that you ask ChatGPT to provide the answers in STAR format. As you may know, a STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. If you practice providing your answers with this structure, it's clear and you back your experience with real-life examples. Here's an example. I'm preparing for an interview for an engineering manager role. Please provide me with the top 10 behavioral questions with answers in STAR format. And one of the questions, for example, is describe a time when you had to manage a difficult project. As you can see, it's very powerful and it's a good way to prepare for interviews. One last thing is questions related to companies' core values. As you may know, core values are some fundamental principles defined by companies. Normally, if it's a small company, it might not have that. But generally speaking, big companies have it, and it can be found on their website. Or you can ask ChatGPT. Although it might not be updated, So be aware of that. But you can ask ChatGPT to provide questions about the core values. Here's an example. What are Google's core values? And then you can ask, can you ask me a question related to these core values? And finally, can you provide a sample answer? In summary, ChatGPT and Claude can help with market research and interview preparation. For resume preparation, I suggest decoupling the resume data from templates. Then focus on the data by checking it in ChatGPT, Claude, and Grammarly. Finally, create your own resume generator using Claude. I hope you've learned something new by watching this video, and I wish you the best of luck in your job hunting process. My name is Ehsan, and I'll see you in the next video.